Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Celestial Tree. I'm an astrologer, intuitive reader, and soul psychologist as well. And today we are going to be chatting about the full moon in Cancer happening on the 13th of Jan or 14th of Jan, depending on where you are. And it is our first full moon of the year, so that's quite exciting. This full moon is happening around 23 degrees of Cancer, so if you're able, do check your birth charts for any planets and any points that are around 23 degrees of cardinal signs. So Cancer, Capricorn, Aries and Libra, because that is probably where you're going to feel the effects of this full moon the most. Before I get started with your horoscopes, here is a gentle reminder. If you would like a reading from me, you can book with me on my website at celestialhealingrealm.com. And remember to subscribe to my brand new channel for more horoscopes and astrology updates as well. Year ahead readings, they're still they're actually sold out now, so apologies if you didn't get to book one. I will try and see if I can add some more booking slots at some point next week. I also want to say that I really appreciate the love and support that I've got with this new YouTube channel. Over the Christmas period, it was really nice seeing all the encouraging comments and all the DMs. So thank you so much for your support. And the last thing I wanted to say is that I will probably be away from YouTube between the 14th of Jan and the 21st of Jan. So I will be back on the 24th with your new moon and Aquarius horoscopes and updates. So if you don't see an upload from me next week, do not panic. I will be back. So yeah, this full moon in Cancer comes at a time where Mars is still retrograde. Mars recently moved back into the sign of Cancer around the 7th of Jan. So that energy is very much present alongside this full moon. If you haven't seen your Mars retrograde horoscopes already, they are up on my channel if you want to check them out. Cancer rules over things like motherhood, comfort, women's rights, and also the land of the country where you're from. It's also our emotions and the depths of our emotions, and it's quite a sensitive sign in a lot of ways. I know some Cancers would probably disagree with that, but it is a water sign, so there is an element of sensitivity there. Looking at this particular full moon, it does seem like it might be quite an emotional time for a lot of different people. The date of this full moon is actually exactly a week before the inauguration of the new president of the US. And I imagine there's probably going to be a lot of talk around, and probably a lot of speculation as well, around comfort and how that might change with the new leadership, as well as how the rights of women and marginalized communities might be affected as well. I did talk a little bit about it in my 2025 astrology analysis video. I do feel like this Mars retrograde does give us an opportunity to kind of review where we're at when it comes to things like women's rights, and when it comes to our own sense of comfort and our own emotional states as well. It is one of those full moons where I do feel like it will be quite difficult to switch off from the conversations and the discussions around how things are going to change this year. And that's kind of a good thing, because these things are quite important to discuss and to talk about, and it's important for us to remain aware of what's going on this year. As hard as it is important that we continue to try and be there for each other as much as we can. This is a full moon where emotions might be running high. People might be feeling kind of extra sensitive, and it's okay to feel things. First of all, it is okay to feel things. And I want to say, whatever you're learning during this Mars retrograde cycle about yourself, about the world, or about the part of your life that Cancer does rule over in your chart. This full moon is an opportunity for you to kind of release what needs to be let go, and release what is no longer serving your highest good. It does feel like kind of like a letting go type of full moon, and it's good that we have this energy at the beginning of the year so that we can let things go and then move through the year a lot lighter and a lot clearer, having released whatever we need to release around this full moon. So with that being said, I am going to give you guys your full moon in Cancer horoscopes, and please do remember to listen to both your sun sign and your rising sign as well. Aries suns and Aries risings. I hope you guys had a restful holiday period as much as you could. This full moon in Cancer will fall in your 4th house of home, family, roots and residence, and also your personal life as well. I think since Mars has moved back into this area, there are maybe potentially some frustrating family or home dynamics that you might have had to navigate over the last few days, and that will probably continue into Feb, unfortunately. But this full moon is a time for releasing and letting things go, so try to let go of some of the frustrations that you might have been having. Of course, it's easier said than done. We don't want to move into the new year with things on our hearts, things that are weighing us down in some way. This is also a time where, with this full moon, because Uranus is in the picture, Uranus is the planet of like sudden changes. There could be something unexpected that happens within the home or within the family. It's not necessarily something bad, but it is something that does require your attention in some way. It could be a little disagreement with family members, or something within your home just potentially suddenly stops working, which I know is frustrating, but it might be time to upgrade some of your like home appliances, and this might be the universe's way of kind of bringing that to your attention. If you have been working a lot and doing a lot of career related stuff, this could be a time where you feel like you want to spend a lot more time at home and a lot more time with yourself. And you could find yourself around the time of this full moon trying to focus on striking a better work-life balance. Taurians, Taurus suns and Taurus risings. I hope you're all good. This full moon in Cancer will fall in your 3rd house of siblings, local travel and communication. This might end up being a really busy full moon for you guys, Taurians. You might be running errands and trying to tie up some loose ends and making lots of like short trips in your area to make sure everything is in order, because we know that you value structure and routine. So you might be communicating a lot around this full moon. You might be sending a lot of emails, even going to the post office. It just feels quite busy. Like it feels like, when do I get a chance to rest? That is the kind of energy that this full moon is bringing. This full moon is also in a harmonious aspect to Uranus, the planet of sudden changes, over in your 1st house of identity and self. So there could be something unexpected that comes up that you might have to deal with that relates to yourself in some way. It doesn't feel super frustrating, but it does feel a little bit like something comes up and it's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying, especially since you're already quite organized. So when unexpected things like this come up, it's kind of like, oh, this, you know, and some things are not avoidable. There could also be something going on with a sibling, if you have siblings. Just something that needs your attention, not necessarily something negative. You could hear news about a sibling that kind of takes you by surprise in some way. Mars is also still retrograde in this third house space as well. So you might already be feeling kind of like mentally restless anyway. So maybe being busy and being occupied is not necessarily a bad thing. I would say try and find some time for yourself. Try and have a moment where you do sit and chill and do nothing, because you can't be productive sustainably without taking some rest every now and again. Gemini suns, and my fellow Gemini risings. I hope we are well. This full moon is occurring in, I hope it's okay for me to say our, our second house of income, finances, self-worth, and talents. It's a bit of an emotional full moon, if I'm honest. It is a time where you could be confronted with some things that you need to release in the areas of self-worth and self-esteem, and you have already kind of been reviewing some of these things during this Mars retrograde cycle, and that will continue into February as well. Sometimes when Mars is retrograde in the second house, we can kind of feel like our confidence is really, really high at times, and then we can feel like our confidence is really, really low at times as well. So this full moon is an opportunity to kind of release some of those self-limiting beliefs about your worth, so that you can kind of move through the year feeling a lot more confident and a lot more secure as well. It is a good time to explore new ways of measuring your self-worth, your sense of self-worth as well. Kind of moving away from a place of external validation and moving towards a place that is a bit more where your self-esteem is a bit more internal and your validation is a bit more comes from a bit more of an internal place is what I'm trying to say. In terms of money, this is a full moon where you could sort of spend yourself into some trouble. So do watch your pockets and your bank account and watch for impulse spending. Sometimes when we feel like our self-worth is a little bit like rocky, it is very easy to go online and like add stuff into your shopping basket. Yeah, I will give you a heads up. This full moon is not the full moon that you want to be impulse spending, especially since Mars is retrograde in the second house as well. Mars in Cancer is all about comfort, and you don't want to spend yourself into a hole, especially after after Christmas. We have to try and replenish our funds a little bit. So yeah, this is also a time where you could end up paying something off, or you could get together, actually even by yourself, or you could get together with a partner and sit down and kind of review your budget for the year and make sure that everything is in order. So it's not necessarily a bad full moon, although I feel like we just need to like watch ourselves a little bit, but it's a really good time to sit down and kind of make some plans going forward in terms of money and in terms of building self-confidence as well. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. This full moon is happening in your first house of identity, self, life path, and physical body. This is a very releasing full moon. It is a time where you might be releasing a lot of what you've learned about not just last year but during this Mars retrograde, which has very recently entered your sign. This is a time where you will be kind of given an opportunity to release what isn't working for you in terms of yourself, in terms of how you present, in terms of your life path. And this is happening at the beginning of the year, so this is a really, really, really good thing. This could be quite an emotionally sensitive time for you, Cancers, as you kind of set your intentions for the new year ahead and make plans for how you're going to grow and what you want to bring in 2025. Since Mars has retrograded back into your sign, there might be some things that have been brought to your attention that have potentially made you kind of frustrated and kind of angry at times. And it is a great time to release and let go of some of the things that you might still be holding on to. Cancer is known for being quite sentimental, and prioritizing familiarity, and sometimes that means that cancers can hold on to things that they don't necessarily need to, but it can feel really hard to let go. And what I'm kind of referring to is things, people, circumstances, and situations from your past that need to be let go so that you can move on and feel a lot lighter and a lot freer mentally this year. What I will say is that this full moon is in a harmonious aspect to both Neptune and Uranus as well. If you need to cry around this full moon, please do find time to do that. And if you need to lean on a friend for advice or even just a chat, then I feel like you should reach out, because they might be able to help you work through some of the things that you're feeling around the time of this full moon. So do reach out to your friends and allow them to give you some support if necessary. Leo suns and Leo risings. I hope we're all well and you guys had a nice holiday period. This full moon in Cancer will fall in your 12th house of mental health, the subconscious, rest, and isolation as well. So this full moon could signify a need to rest in some way. There does seem to be something happening around this full moon that encourages you to sort of rest and take some time off. It could be a conversation you have with someone or something like that. Like there's something that happens around this full moon that makes you think, right, like I need to rest. I need to return to my sanctuary and just take some rest. This is also a time where you could become aware of something that has been affecting you mentally over the last 6 months, and you can kind of become aware of it around this full moon. These things do come up for us to be able to kind of be with those feelings and address them so that you can release them. And this full moon in Cancer is definitely the right time to release those things as well. This is a fantastic full moon for recharging, refilling your cup after you so readily pour into others. It is really important that you focus on you and you take some time to do the things that you enjoy, and even kind of lean into the lazy lion archetype for a couple of days. I think sometimes we forget that our productivity does also go hand in hand with our rest practices, and this full moon is kind of like a reminder that in order for you to be the best you and in order for you to do the best out in the world, it's important for you to go within and recharge so that you're able to be your best self. So take your time around this full moon and get some well-deserved rest. Virgo suns and Virgo risings. I hope we're all doing okay after the holiday period, Christmas and New Year's. This full moon in Cancer is falling in your 11th house of long-term goals, friends and groups. It does kind of feel like you might be getting some support from a friend around this time, or you could be offering your support for a friend around this time. I think as Virgos, you're always very helpful and you're always very giving with your energy. And I do feel like this full moon is a time where something or someone calls on that really caring, loving and helpful energy that is so natural for you guys. Because this full moon is harmoniously interacting with both Neptune, the planet of compassion, and Uranus, the planet of sudden changes. It is likely that you might suddenly hear from a friend or a loved one, and they might ask you for some advice or some support with something that's going on in their life. This is also a time where you might be discussing some of your long-term goals with someone dear to you, and how those long-term goals have kind of changed and developed as a result of some of the things that you have had to deal with last year. I do feel like it's a good time to recognize your progress when it comes to your long-term goals. The full moon is a time for reflecting. And I feel like it's really important that you give yourself so much deserved credit for being able to kind of push through some of the very difficult situations that you kind of had to deal with last year. So this full moon in Cancer is quite a reflective one for you guys, and there is a lot to reflect on, but there's also a lot to feel proud of as well. Librans, Libra suns and Libra risings. I hope you guys had a really peaceful holiday period as much as you could. This full moon in Cancer will happen in your 10th house of career, status, and public reputation. Mars is retrograde. Mars is also retrograde in this part of your chart. So it is likely that recently you may have been feeling a little bit dissatisfied with certain aspects of your career, and kind of being a little bit judgy with yourself and your progress. It is also likely that if you haven't already, then you might have been having some disagreements with bosses or mentors, even parents, just people with like positions or people who are in a position of authority, because the 10th house also rules over people like that. Unfortunately, this will continue into Feb, but I am here to remind you that you are much more than your career, and you are much more than what you put out into the world as well. This full moon is an opportunity to reflect on your advancement career-wise, and actually give yourself some well-deserved credit for just how far you've managed to come despite everything last year. This is also a time where you could be given some new responsibilities in your job or in your career in some way. Kind of like a call to like step up, which could feel a little bit daunting at first. But it's really important that you do have faith in your capabilities around this full moon in Cancer. This could also be a time where you finally wrap up a work project. Currently Neptune is over in your 6th house of work and routines, and it is in a harmonious aspect with this full moon. So it could be a creative project or a passion project related to your work in some way that you're kind of wrapping up around this time. It doesn't necessarily need to be like work related, but around this full moon you might be wrapping something up, something that you've been working on. It does feel like there could be moments of overwhelm around this full moon, but it also feels like you are releasing a lot as well. So if you need to make time to kind of like decompress, even shed a little tear, if you need a moment to yourself, then please do take one. And try and think back to the new moon in Cancer around July 5th last year, because you could see a return of or a wrapping up of some of the themes that presented themselves around 6 months ago. Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. I hope you had a restful holiday period. This full moon in Cancer will fall in your 9th house of overseas travel, higher learning and beliefs. Mars is also retrograde in this area of your chart, so leave an extra time before you travel, not just overseas but also locally as well. It's going to be really, really beneficial, because there could be some delays and things of that nature, especially if you're traveling around this full moon in Cancer. This full moon is actually really, really important for you, Scorpio, because it allows you guys to kind of take a step back and reflect on your own personal belief system and how that has developed over the course of last year, as well as releasing and letting go of some of the beliefs about yourself and about the world around you, is really gonna be how you benefit from the energy of this full moon in Cancer. this could be a time where you do wrap up a period of study, and this doesn't necessarily have to be a period of structured learning like within a classroom. This could be something that you kind of set the intention to learn about in your own time around 6 months ago. This full moon is also in a harmonious aspect to the planet Uranus, which is all about freedom and sudden changes. So there could be something unexpected that happens around this full moon that almost kind of forces you to sit and reflect on your own personal belief system in some way. Something can happen where you're like, do I really believe this? Do I really agree with this? Does this align with me morally? And that is quite a powerful thing. Being able to kind of like self-reflect with honesty, and also with a hint of that Cancerian sensitivity as well. It's going to be really, 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 really important. So yeah, important full moon for you guys, Scorpios. Try your best to take your time and kind of lean into the energies of change, even if those energies of change are internal in nature. Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. I really hope the holiday period was good to you guys. I know you've been busy, and I hope you are still feeling optimistic about the year ahead despite all the busyness. This full moon in Cancer will be in your 8th house of shared resources and intimacy, and also psychological transformations as well. So that being said, this is quite a transformational full moon for you guys, Sagittarians, because it is a time for releasing some of the self-limiting beliefs around your capabilities, around your worth, and around your future as well. I do feel like this full moon could bring up some of these feelings, and it is time for kind of letting go of the parts of your psyche that were kind of holding you back from really leaning into your own personal power. I do feel like the more you become aware of I don't want to say baggage, it's not really baggage, but the more you become aware of the things that are kind of weighing you down over the years, have been weighing you down over the years, the more things you'll be able to kind of let go of, so that you can move forward and move through this year feeling a lot lighter. It feels like a very liberating full moon for you guys, and it does feel like quite an internal liberation as well. I'm not saying that you're going to get through this full moon without shedding any tears or without like getting through it unscathed. This full moon is in the sensitive sign of Cancer, but I feel like post full moon, I am hoping that you will feel a lot more liberated as well. This full moon is also in a harmonious aspect to Uranus over in your 6th house of work, so there could be a nice surprise for you at work, with one of your colleagues, or one of your clients, so do keep an eye out for that as well. Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings. I hope you guys are feeling well and have had a very restful holiday period. This full moon in Cancer will happen in your 7th house of contracts, marriage, and relationships. So with Mars retrograde also going through the 7th house space, the issues and the important conversations that you've been having with your partner will continue into Feb. I do feel like this full moon is definitely an opportunity to release and let go of some of the issues and frustrations that you might have been having, and they could come to like a peak or come to a head around the 13th of Jan. So I think striking a good balance, finding a middle ground between your needs and the needs of your significant other is going to be really, really crucial around this full moon in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. It is the crab. It's very much hard on the outside, soft on the inside. So it might take some time to get to the bottom of your issues and troubles that you might have been having with a partner. Sometimes you do need to kind of lock in for a long conversation about your needs and about the future, etc. And Mercury is currently in Capricorn as well. It's in your sign. So it is lending you some supportive energies for having these discussions. I think it's also important to note that the 7th house is about compromise. So try and kind of take that angle if you can. If you are single, this could be a time where someone you may have had your eye on decides that they kind of want to take things further with you. What I will say is that you might not necessarily be ready for that. If you are ready for that, that's fantastic. Capricorns are notoriously slow burners though. Not all of them, but generally that is kind of the vibe of Capricorns. But that's what I mean when I say that this full moon in Cancer is about having tricky conversations and trying to get like a clearer picture of how you feel. Try not to overthink it. Try not to also overcommit before you're ready to do so. Take your time around this full moon and express what you feel like you need to express. Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. This full moon in Cancer will fall in your 6th house of physical health, day-to-day routines and work. So Mars has been retrograde through this area of your chart since around the 7th of Jan. So it's likely that you might have been a little bit under the weather recently, or you might have gotten into some disagreements with some of your co-workers. You might also have been finding it a little bit difficult to kind of motivate yourself to do your routines as well, and some of these things that you're kind of dealing with will continue on into Feb. But this full moon is a really good opportunity to kind of assess where you're at health wise and also work wise as well. What I mean by that is it's a really good time to reflect on some of these areas around the time of this full moon, because you could become aware of maybe some habits or maybe some coping mechanisms that need to be kind of altered or reviewed in some way. This is also a time where you might end up discovering that the ways that you manage your stress are not necessarily aligned with who you are now and the person that you've kind of grown into. This might also be a time where you're kind of like, I need to find a different way, or I need to explore different methods of stress management and managing intense emotions like frustration and anger. Trying to find ways that help you, that also benefit your well-being and benefit your health. Because when we get stressed, we get sick. When we get sick, we get stressed. So it's kind of like becoming aware of that cycle around this full moon in Cancer and trying to do a good job of breaking that cycle. This is also a time where you could say goodbye to a colleague of yours or leave a job behind for something better. Whatever you find yourself kind of becoming aware of around this full moon. I know some Aquarians might be like, please don't tell me to reach out to my friends, like I'm not going to do it. But I would say try and reach out to your friends and your loved ones if you feel like you can. Because around this full moon, they might have the capacity to be able to help. And they also might have some really good advice for you in terms of your work and also your health as well. Pisceans, my fellow Pisces suns and Pisces risings, this full moon in Cancer will happen in your 5th house of pleasure, romance, creativity and children. Mars is also retrograde through this area of your chart, which means that you have probably been having some minor disagreements with potentially some of your loved ones, or with your children if you have children. This full moon is definitely a good time to clear the air and make sure that you are releasing and letting go of some of the things that have kind of been weighing you down, and kind of been weighing on you quite heavily recently. This is also a time where you could have some sudden, like an unexpected conversation with your partner or with your children, that kind of might take you by surprise. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's anything bad or anything negative. It is just something that might take you by surprise and require your attention in some way. I think this is a full moon where you kind of want to let your hair down a little bit and you want to spend more time doing the things that you like and doing the things that refill your cup and replenish you on an internal level. This could be things like spending time with your children if you have children, or spending more time doing something creative like a hobby. This could also be a time where you are wrapping up, or coming to the end of a creative project that you might have been working on in private. Something very close to your heart, something that you have kind of poured yourself into in some way. I know that you might be a little bit busy around the time of this full moon, but try and find some time to enjoy yourself, and take some time out for yourself if you can. So that is all for today, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you plan on doing around this full moon in Cancer on the 13th of Jan. Remember to like this video and also subscribe to my brand new channel for more astrology updates and horoscopes. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. They're both linked in the description box below. Yeah, and just put any questions and concerns you have down in the comments. Happy healing, everyone.